Welcome everybody to some more Apex Legends. In today's video, I want to talk about something hip-hop related. I understand that this might be a little bit of a different direction for my channel, but I have made videos in the past talking about hip-hop and rappers and stuff like that, so I figured I wanted to do that today as well. And today's topic is going to be, in my opinion, why I think Eminem doesn't actually get as much respect today as he really deserves. A lot of people these days, when they talk about Eminem, one of the big arguments that comes up is that Eminem used to be better. You know, the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, and the Eminem Show were really his peak. And I'm not going to deny that. That is true. He definitely was at the peak of his relevancy when he first released those albums. However, Eminem has never been an irrelevant rapper. He's always been huge, no matter what album he's put out. Even Revival, which was his worst album that he ever put out, that's still charted at #1. It doesn't matter what Eminem puts out, it will still do incredibly well. And I just want to talk about why I think over time people start to lose respect for him and sort of forget what he did for the rap game and how incredible of an artist he actually is. Now, of course, Eminem isn't a perfect artist. He has had duds throughout his career. I'm sure that you guys know about his bad albums. To go through his discography, Slim Shady LP was great. The Marshall Mathers LP was great. The Eminem Show was a fantastic album. Encore was definitely his most disappointing when he released it, although people look back at it now and realize maybe it wasn't as bad, but personally, I don't really like Encore that much. Relapse was, again, a pretty big disappointment, although maybe looking back on it now, it wasn't as bad as we made it out to be at the time, because at the time we just had so much more recent reference to Eminem's work with his first 3 albums, because obviously he had set the bar so high. But looking back on Relapse, there are actually some pretty good songs in there, although the accents were pretty annoying, and I still can't look past that to this day. After that, he came out with Recovery, which was a very polarizing album. A lot of people didn't like it, but I would say the majority of people actually liked Recovery, myself included. I think it's a great album. I thought the hard-hitting lines and the aggression that Eminem was coming back with really suited him at the time, because you just can't expect Eminem to be the exact same person as when he first started. He's gonna be different. You know, he had just kicked an addiction, and obviously he's a different person after that addiction. After Recovery, he decided to go all out and come out with a sequel to his most successful album of all time, the Marshall Mathers LP, in the form of the Marshall Mathers LP 2, which is widely accepted as just an incredible album. It is the best new Eminem album that we have to date, and it is proof that Eminem can still definitely put out incredible music if he really tries. Now, unfortunately, that's when things went really bad. Eminem disappeared for a long time and came back with the worst album in his entire discography, Revival. And when Revival came out, that's where the topic of this video really comes into play. This is where Eminem lost a lot of respect, and in my opinion, people just sort of forgot about all the amazing things he has done, about all the amazing music he brought out in the past. No doubt, Revival was a terrible album. Even myself, who I consider myself to be a huge Eminem fan, I really didn't like Revival. I remember when the album first came out, I was trying to say that some of the songs were great. I remember talking to my friends and we were picking out certain songs and we were saying how this song is really good and that song's really good, but really quickly I came to realize that I really don't like those songs. There are songs like Untouchable that I remember going through the lyrics with my friends, and looking back on it, I really don't listen to that song. And if I ever do go back to listen to that song, I don't like it. I really don't like Untouchable. The majority of Revival is a pretty bad album. There are some songs in there that I do like. However, the bad ones are really, really bad. I don't need to elaborate on how bad Revival was, because we all know at this point. I mean, fucking even Eminem is sick of hearing it. And after how much of a disappointment Revival was, this sort of lit a fire back in Eminem, and he came out with Kamikaze, which was, again, a very polarizing album. Some people didn't like it, some people did like it, and I'm on the side that I I absolutely loved Kamikaze. Now, by no means is the entire album perfect. If I were to give it a score, I would give it about a 6 to a 7. But I think the majority of the album is pretty good. The Ringer is a great song. Greatest is a great song. Lucky You is my favorite song in the album. Normal is, it's an okay song. I'd say it's above average. The title track, Kamikaze, is pretty awesome. I really like that song. Not alike, you know, the original MGK diss was a fantastic song. I really like that. And I actually liked Good Guy a little bit, even though it was a little bit more sentimental and it really felt like something that belonged on Revival. I still liked Good Guy. I thought it was an okay song. However, some of the bad songs I just really wasn't feeling. You know, the skits, they're obviously just skits. You know, nobody really cares about those. And Venom, Adrenaline Momentum, I really fucking don't like that song. Overall, with Kamikaze, Eminem has shown that he hasn't lost that fire, that he can still bring the heat to the table, and he's not done. He is nowhere close to being finished with rap music. But I feel that even after he made Kamikaze and he released it and surprised the entire world, people still don't show Eminem the respect he deserves. Everyone has so much recency bias when they talk about Revival and how bad it was, and they completely forget that this man has made some of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time. You cannot forget about the Slim Shady LP. You cannot forget about the Marshall Mathers LP, and of course, the Eminem Show. Those are the 3 pinnacle albums of his entire career, and they have literally molded the rap game. In fact, the Marshall Mathers LP, which in my opinion is his best album of all time, that album had a song on it called Stan that we all know about that literally changed people's grammar. How many times do you hear people these days talk about how they're a stan for this artist and that artist, and they don't even know about the origins of the word? People just fucking hear it all the time. The man has had so much influence on hip-hop. There are so many rappers these days who talk about how Eminem was somebody that they grew up listening to. It's funny because a lot of the people who were talking shit about Eminem, specifically the people who he mentioned on Kamikaze, a lot of those people were influenced by him. One of the people that he insulted was Tyler, the Creator, and while Tyler, the Creator doesn't really show that much Eminem influence these days, back in his early days when he was first, you know, blowing up with the shock rap factor, a really big reason for that shock rap that Tyler, the Creator was doing was because he listened to Eminem, because when Eminem first burst onto the scene, he said things that were so controversial that pretty much nobody could ignore it. Eminem is going to make a return with another fantastic album. I know he has it inside of him. He has teased the fact that the Slim Shady LP 2 is going to come out. He's teased it to us. He came out on that feature on Rainy Days and said, "You want Slim Shady EP that's on the CD cover, Sock in My Mirror." I mean, he really is teasing the Slim Shady LP 2 here, and when he comes back with a fantastic record that people really wanted and were craving, everyone is just going to pretend as if they loved Eminem this entire time. Either that, or people are just going to throw it off and continue hating on him because it's the cool thing to do. Another person who I really relate to Eminem is Drake. While a lot of people like Drake, there are also a lot of people who clown on Drake and make fun of him ever since he lost his battle with Pusha T. Of course, Drake lost that beef. He took a huge L to Pusha T, but you cannot look past what Drake has actually done for hip-hop. He has a huge influence. He literally created a new style of hip-hop that nobody was doing at the time when he was first blowing up. A huge point I want to make is that people have so much recency bias. They focus on what an artist is doing now or what they have done recently and completely forget about all the influence and all of the impact that they've had on hip-hop. In my personal opinion, Eminem is the greatest rapper to have ever lived, and you don't have to agree with me on that. That's completely fine. However, it is statistically true that Eminem is the #1 selling hip-hop artist of all time. Eminem has back-to-back diamond certified albums. Nobody in the history of music has ever done that. So it is obvious that Eminem has had a major impact on our culture, in music culture, in hip-hop culture, whatever culture you want to talk about. Eminem has had a huge impact, and people just forget about that. He released Revival, which was his worst album of all time, but people just focus on that so much. It's not like Eminem doesn't care about his music. If he didn't care about his music, he would have blown up, made his money, and just retired. He could very easily do so, but he doesn't do that because he still cares. If he has to sink this ship by himself, he's going to do that if it means that he has a chance of coming back stronger. That's pretty much all I had to say on this topic. So other than that, I'm gonna wrap this video up here. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you smack the like button. If you want to stay up to date with my content, please be sure to subscribe. I'll have my last video in the corner. If you haven't checked that out already, definitely make sure to check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.